Ready? All right. Hello, Jay Silver, President of Helicon, and we're out here today live, coming to you from a cover collapse sinkhole repair project site visit that we're doing. And it's October 16th today, Wednesday. We're back up and running this past Monday after Hurricane Milton. We got our mash mire, thankfully our concrete coming out of actually Hillsborough, because the plant down here in Pinellas is still without power. So today we just wanted to kind of walk you through, I think our last cover collapse that we brought you on story was over in Palm Harbor, and that was one on the inside. This is a sinkhole that occurred out in the front, and cover collapses are sinkholes that on the top surface of the soil actually gives way, and pretty descriptive as a cover collapse. The cover or top birding collapses and falls down in. Whereas a subsidence sinkhole, you don't have the collapse of the soil at the top. You have more slow, gradual movement where the house settles. And unfortunately, subsidence sinkholes, they're not covered by insurance. So today, as we're going on this live video, we'll probably be on for, I don't know, Joe, what do you think, 15, 20, 20 minutes. If anybody pops on and has a question, we'll try to answer it, try to go through some of the common questions. Some is, if I have this in my front of the house, can it be fixed? Is it going to be livable again? And the answer is yes. It's probably better than previous, because all the voids, and we'll walk through the process, have been stabilized, compacted. This process gets done on a lot of pre-construction sites where they want to stabilize the ground prior to building, which we were out actually the World Equestrian Center recently. Different apartment buildings, they want to treat sinkholes before they build, so they don't have things like this happen. But what kind of the first part of this whole sinkhole deal, the homeowner noticed the hole opening up in his front yard, so he contacted his insurance, and this was where kind of the cover collapse occurred, and we came in with a flowable fill in the beginning and plugged this up. And flowable fill is just a concrete material, and most sinkholes are kind of like describe it as an hourglass. So you have the top of the hourglass comes down through the throat, and then usually opens up down the bottom. So in this case, we wanted to kind of fill this and cap the top of the hourglass, and then backing up before we even came out, we do have an engineer out on site monitoring with the engineer, but the engineer did a testing around the house, and they devised a grout plan of where we're going to put these points. And as we go around, same as these points, they went around the circle of the depression here, and they went down probably about 30 to 50 feet in depth. They were mud rotary drilled down to limestone or load-bearing strata, kind of put them down to refusal. And looks like the truck is getting run out there. Maybe we'll kind of show you. It's coming from the truck down on through this this point. So they're emptying the last remaining of the truck, and we'll see another cement truck show up, hopefully back to back, but there might be a little delay where we have the grout pump shut off. So yeah, again, we're out here in Clearwater, Florida, on a cover collapse sinkhole site that gave way probably about 30 days or so. The hurricane didn't affect it too much. We got a lot of grout in beforehand, and so we have the engineer designed grout around this part of the sinkhole, and then also we did grout points. They're about every 10 feet apart on center. So we have one straight up and down, then we'll do one angled, one straight up and down, one angled around the house. And in this particular project, we came in and did an emergency, call it emergency, or we did an underpinning before we did the grouting. And I'll walk you through why that was important. But the front of the house had some movement going on in this corner in particular. You can kind of see the stair step cracking here. So these are some things to look out for even prior to the sinkhole. But unfortunately, in this case, until this cover collapse opened up, these were not covered by insurance. But now, fortunately, the homeowner is covered by insurance. But these are some things you want to look out for on your house. Different cracking, stair step cracking. It's kind of a common sign of settlement. You'll see it under the windowsills most commonly. You can kind of see this area is where the engineer had us do, I believe, 9 or 12 piers around this front part of the house. And those piers have a steel bracket that goes underneath the foundation, and they're pressed or drilled in down to refusal. And what that does is it supports and stabilizes this part of the house. And the reason being, one, we have this large hole right pretty close in this vicinity, but two, when you insert these casings, they have a threaded, they're 4-foot sections, they have a threaded rod on the top and a drill bit or cutter down the bottom, and you're forcing water down through that. It's called mud rotary drilling or directional drilling. You see people doing on the side of the roads, and you can imagine by injecting that water into the soil and drilling this in, it does create a little bit of agitation to the soil and potentially could cause further settlement to this part of the house as we're drilling these in. And we want to protect that and stop that. Not only the drilling part can cause some agitation into the soil, some movement, but when we start pumping under high pressure the grout, that's compacting, filling voids, but also could cause some shifting. So we wanted to go ahead and wrap around. We wrapped around piers around this front corner. Again, we got some more stair step cracking. We actually sealed this up. Previously that was a gap here. You can see where the piers, when we pressurized them, they closed this, and all of this stuff will be repatched and painted after we're done on the cosmetic phase. But we already finished this section, which is kind of going around the house. All the piers were around the perimeter. We still have yet to, we're going to come in the pool area. We have some piers we're going to be drilling in there along that portion. Already finished up with this back part. And again, if you're just joining us, this is again a sinkhole cover collapse sinkhole repair site, and we're doing 3 of the most common methods on this site. One is the compaction grouting, which we have the cement trucks out front. We've already finished up this section. I think they have another pipe here to finish. So the 3 most common techniques are compaction grouting, chemical grout, and underpinning. On this particular project, we're doing all 3. The compaction grouting starts out first with the drilling and then the pumping, which we're doing now. And then the final phase on this project will be the chemical grout. It's a polyurethane 2-part foam expanding foam that will come out and do that around the perimeter. There's also some on the inside that we're doing, and that's going to stabilize all the upper soils from 15 feet up, where we stop the compaction grouting at 15 feet. We'll kind of go around over to the front and walk through kind of the extractor and the hydraulic rams that pull it out. But we did, you know, as we're walking around, these few storms that we've had, we had a long period of, I'm going to try to walk back and talk, but we'll come out here. But we had a very long period of drought over, I think, prior to Hurricane Helene, where a lot of lakes were down. We had water restrictions, if you recall, and then all of a sudden, Helene, a lot of rain. Not a whole ton that came, but even prior to that, we had some good rainstorms. I just know because my lake was personal experience was extremely low, down to where people couldn't even get their boats out, and then all of a sudden it filled up, and people were like, hallelujah. And then I walk through this because what we notice in the foundation repair and sinkhole repair industry is, after that period of drought and you have a lot of rain, that overburdened soil that's dry, it takes so long for that water to percolate slowly into the aquifer to build that hydrostatic pressure up. You get a lot of water, all that water weight just causes it to collapse, or causes a lot of different dormant soil issues, foundation problems. So typically, very simply put, after you have a period of no rain, kind of drought for a good amount of time, and then you're introduced with a good amount of rain, is where you have situations like this pop up. We've had probably, I think, Joe, about 3 to 5 cover collapses that have called in from insurance carriers, engineers. We partner with many insurance carriers, engineers throughout Florida. I believe on this project in particular, an engineer reached out to us for pricing for the insurance carrier. But whether it's insurance carriers, engineers, homeowners, Helicon is the go-to for both experts and homeowners when it comes to this. But yeah, if you're experiencing some of these foundation or soil issues after these last 2 storms, feel free, reach out to us. We're happy to come out, do an inspection, go over and see what options may be best for you, what value engineer options you have. And if it's a situation where we don't have an option, we're a straight shooter. We'll tell you, there's maybe that needs to be replaced, or if it's, say, a seawall that's completely fallen over, soil stabilization is not going to help. So we're very very, very proud and grateful to be a go-to trusted advisor in the state of Florida for all foundation repair, soil stabilization needs. And in this particular case, again, we're fixing a cover collapse sinkhole. Over on the side is, kind of see the concrete truck left, but they'll be back with more mud. This is a hydraulic power pack that powers the hydraulic rams to pull the pipe out of the ground. They're back here getting this one ready. But here's one of our extraction points that we're pumping the concrete into. And again, starting out down at load-bearing strata depth and just pumping and pulling as we work our way up, compacting all the soils and voids. And then once the pipes are pulled out of the ground, they're cleaned and stacked right over on the truck. Now you might wonder how does the operator know to stop pumping and pull it up to the next zone? One, they have a pressure gauge that they're monitoring closely, and once this hits 300 psi or whatever the engineer specifies, then that zone has been filled, and we can pull up and go up to the next soil zone and repeat that process as we're going around the house, or at each point. The points are typically stopped up at the surface at about 15 feet, and then again from that point on, from 15 feet is where we do the chemical grout in your upper soil zones. And in this case, we did the underpinning also in the front portion of the corner of the house, and that was to protect, again, from when we were drilling in the pipes, any additional settlement that could happen. So we'll have our next chuck will slide in here. Got our plastic down, protect any oil or stuff dripping with the truck. Just trying to keep the site. It's an intense process, as you see. We try to keep it really clean, but it is definitely a messy type of process with the concrete. So we went over at the other station. That is a high pressure gauge, which indicates that we filled the grout into that zone, or that depth called a zone. Enough material that's compacted, which the high pressure indicates it's full. The other indication we have is we have a lift gauge that's on the ground, and then we have another one on the wall. The one that we're monitoring closely is the one on the wall. The one to the left is kind of more of a visual to see if that's moving, like, hey, it's a stop. But that's something we want to be real. The operator is very sensitive of, is monitoring the house and the structure. So if the house moves, it's either or. If we get a high pressure gauge and the house is not moving, we still pull up to the next oil zone. If the house moves, that's another indicator. We move up to the next zone. So it could be where we're not getting a high pressure, but the house is moving. But typically they go hand in hand. High pressure, you're probably starting to see some movement on the house, and you see the guys there. It's a kind of a tight project site here out in Clearwater, Florida. So we're actually on the neighbor's yard here, but yeah, they're gonna take that off. They're gonna so right now they're moving up to the next soil depth, which looks like they're taking off about 8 feet, 2 pipes. And again, this is our transit level, and he's just in there, monitoring the house level. So yeah, it was about 12:05. Hopefully our next truck rolls up here shortly, and we hook up and we start pumping the grout. And again, it's a complex. There's a lot of moving parts, engineer involved, insurance carrier, contractor, and we all work as a collective team to make sure that it's the best possible outcome for the repair. The repair is done right the first time, so we have very stringent protocols that we go through. How much that we pump Um, you may be wondering, man, what are the chances of that comes back and happens again at my house? And rest assured, to ease your mind and give you some peace of mind, Helicon's been doing this over 2 decades, over 20 years, and we have yet to have a reoccurrence on a sinkhole, cover collapse like this, or any sinkhole, actually, for that matter. So the method and the protocols that we follow are tried, they're proven over time, so you can really have a peace of mind that once my house is grouted and I have, what did I say in the other area, we're going to have about 50 of those trucks. To give you an idea of the quantities, we'll have 30 to 50 of those cement trucks, 300 to 500 cubic yards of grout, paired with thousands of pounds of chemical on the upper soil layers. So you can rest assured, once Helicon's done, this house is on solid ground, and it's there's a six-figure. I won't give you the exact dollar amount, but it's in excess of 6 figures on the repair costs. So, looking at it for resale value, for those that are concerned, maybe for, oh man, I had this big hole in the front of my house. Am I going to be able to sell this? And the answer is yes. If it's done right by a company like Helicon that backs it with a warranty and has been in business for 20 plus years, it has actually more so now comes with a luxury. Not that I think maybe you can charge even more for it, because other houses around it have not had that done, and you're sitting on, again, just solid ground. That is some of the concerns we get from homeowners. And to give you an idea on timeline, even though this was a cover collapse in the front yard, this entire project, unlike gosh, Joe, what was the Palm Harbor sinkhole? It took us 6 months for that one, and there we go. We got a little break in between equipment roaring, but we'll have the pump out here, shortly, pumping more concrete into the sinkholes. But yeah, that one in Palm Harbor, to give you some idea, this will probably take us about 3 to 4 weeks to complete this, depending on the quantities. There are stages though, so the actual operating time on site probably about 3 to 4 weeks. But believe the other one where we pumped up to 1,000 cubic yards, that took us we just completed it, I believe, last month, and we started in February. So it was about a 6-month process. That took 100 of those trucks, so double what this one is taking, and that was a massive cover collapse inside as you walked in the front of the house, right in the center of the home, which was really unique for us. Doing this 20 years, it was the first time we ever saw that. But great success news there. It was repaired successfully. They're starting their cosmetics. That's something I will mention. These do usually come with a 2-phase. Even though our sinkhole repair does have multiple phases, think of it as that's one chunk, the sinkhole repair phase, and then the other chunk that you would have would be your cosmetic phase. So things like we saw in the front with your stair step cracking, stucco, block, cosmetics. If there were any damages that happened during the normal course of work with the sinkhole repair, because there are things like you'll see some core holes, little things like we had to put I believe that was one of the bracket spots along the front, but we also had the core hole here through one of the grout points. So this would have to be fixed cosmetically in the cosmetic phase, which typically engineers like to have about 30 days for the concrete and the grout that we pump to settle and cure and harden before going and doing all the cosmetic things. And that could be, we're also doing some polyurethane 2-part polyfoam injections on the inside of the house. So any of the tile or flooring materials that we have to drill through to get those in, that would be under the cosmetic phase of the sinkhole repair project with the insurance company. Yeah, this is a insurance claim project that's covered, because cover collapses are covered by fortunately by insurance. Yeah, so we're making progress. We're getting close on the compaction grouting phase, and then the chemical grout again will happen after that phase. Do an outro. Yeah, so again, we're gonna try possibly doing these site different. They'll be unique. Some will be a seawall project. We might be under a crawl space doing floor jacks, but different foundation repair, crawl space repairs, concrete lifting and leveling. We do also a lot of pre-construction stuff that we may talk about with pools, where we anchor them in place with helical piles. But if you have interest in this type of stuff, make sure to subscribe and follow along. And if there is a foundation or soil issue occurring at your home, again, please reach out. We'd be happy to come out, be your trusted advisor, and go over what options may be best for you and your family.